Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Bennett, and today I'm going to give a Wyckoff updates for cryptocurrency. And in this one, I'm going to try to cover a few things. One, some myths versus reality, and another is this overall market when we're supposed to be pulling out into a better market in my predictions. Notes: I'm not a financial advisor, not an investment advisor. This is just for educational purposes only. So do your investing at your own risk. But with this, one thing I will mention right here, right now, is if I had money and really wanted to jump in and buy more, then the area that I would be looking into to buy is right here. The fact is I think we're pretty much at the lowest point that Bitcoin itself is ever going to hit. Of course, note altcoins, there's a little bit of delay, a little bit of difference in there. So note that per altcoin, especially the number of stuff that's coming out, it's playing by its own rules. But with Bitcoin and more established stuff, you do need to keep this one in mind, in my opinion. Now, as far as things goes, I want to tackle a few things before I jump on in. Some people I've noticed are having problems understanding, okay, where do I get the resistance line versus the support lines and stuff like that? Beyond the actual textbook pattern and itself. Just keep in mind, all this is, a lot of people are actually having problems thinking that, oh, well, the thing should be exactly going up and down like that. No, that's not actually how these things work. Even if it's showing a real world example, that's not actually how these things work as far as understanding patterns. The fact is when it comes to patterns and pattern recognition, is good. It's close enough. It's good enough. And what that means is you're very rarely going to see a one-to-one in patterns. You're probably going to see 90% there, 80% there, 70% there type of situation. It's very rare that's going to be one-to-one, especially if something like this. It's not going to really happen. This up and down stuff. It's just to show, oh, it's not going to be a straight shot. There's going to be a little bit of activity here, run with it type of situation. And note that like areas right here where the thing doesn't go above the resistance lines, but in here it hits the actual resistance line. It doesn't go above it, but hits it where this doesn't. Note that again, this is like a generalized thing. Again, it doesn't have to be 100% there. If it was, great. We can actually figure out things a little bit easier and go with that. But as far as things goes, we just need close enough, and that way we can actually have a better understanding into the overall prediction. Now, I've seen some that says, well, why use technical stuff at all? And the fact is when it comes to technical analysts, it is worth noting because it's better than nothing. And as long as the pattern does follow close enough, then you can get a general idea of where things are going to go. I've seen some that say, well, studies show X, Y, Z. I can pull up studies that show, hey, shoving chocolate in your nose will make you smarter. The fact is a lot of this research stuff, if you actually get an actual degree into science, you'll find very quickly, especially in some of the classes that you should be taking, that a lot of these studies, they got major flaws that are quite overlooked, and most people just don't look at them and don't care to denounce them and don't care to challenge it and just say science is right, always is right, and finds that. That's not how science works. The whole thing with science and research and all this other stuff is very exact of debating. Is the best idea comes to the top. And most people just don't have the brain power at the end of the day after picking up kids or doing their job or doing whatever. That's just never going to happen, especially in modern times. And the name calling stuff like that, that's just never going to happen. So even though studies say whatever, the fact is when it comes to technical analysis, if it does help you out, use it. If it doesn't help you out, don't use it. I don't care. It doesn't. I'm going to use it. It doesn't matter what you say. Now you can say, oh, well, this is not a good chart because of X, Y, Z, and I'll take a look at what you're saying. But if you just tell me, oh, don't use it because whatever, because some stupid study, fine, whatever, go away. I don't care about you. So another thing that some people are having problems with is how do you get the resistance lines and support lines, even though that the thing is showing it. Well, the how it works in the real world, a lot of this came from here, but how it works in real world is you have multiple points. So for example, the best way as I can explain it is from drawing it is if we take a look at here, it doesn't connect to here, but we can easily see that this top line will reach here. So we got a point here, and point here. You know, once is, what was the same? Once chance, twice is coincident, three times pattern. It's all true. You can go two is pattern, fine, but the third is definitely a confirmation of a pattern, and fourth is, and so on, is confirmation from there beyond that. Well, we got one hit here, and we can say, all right, whatever, but the third time shows an actual definite pattern into itself. Now, on the Wyckoff thing itself, it doesn't really show that. It don't know why it's not coming up, but it doesn't really show that. So if we take a look at it here, you know, it does whatever, but again, that's just a general example. So if we again take a look at there, we can see that pattern. And if we take a look here, we can take a look at, say, right here is an error hit, and if it hits here, then it'll be the third time, and again, you got FS. If we go further back, we can actually see that this line does extend to other hits, but I'm ignoring that for right now, so note that. Now, one big thing to note is when it does come to this stuff, there is no guarantee. Yes, it can break out. Again, that's one problem that some people are having. Say, oh, this can be useless tomorrow because whatever scenario. Fine, you know, World War III breaks out. I can guarantee you this is not going to work for you. If aliens come down, I can guarantee you the price is going to freak out. If whatever happens, I can guarantee you a lot of things are going to be pretty bad. So with that one in mind, assuming that nothing, you know, weird happens, this should be, in my opinion, what we're looking at is basically we have a price that is going to manage to get where it's at now to this area, and then slowly go up here, and then skyrocket up here, and then skyrocket it even more there, you know, with the up and downs. So with that, you know, you can do whatever, take it, leave it, whatever, but this is the tactical analysis and how I see it. Now, some people might be asking, how do you get the price, $34,000? Well, again, that goes with the overall patterns into itself. So if you take a look at, we got hits here, and if we go down, we can actually see some more in a few areas. This is an actual resistance level into itself. So if we take a look at here, we're looking at about 35,000. And if we take a look down here, it's 34,000. It's not as significant. So we got hit here, and you know, I could probably do whatever. And also it's a round number, so it kind of fits in the psychological portion of it. So we got about 34-ish thousand and 35,000. I think it's going to hit more on the 35,000 area, maybe 34.5 at worst, but you're still looking at around that area, especially with these hits being so close to what's predicted to happen. Now, as far as this, if you take a look here, similar, we got several hits here. If we go for the back, we can see that, and I think it's going to be closer to 45. Again, try to go with round numbers as possible when you're doing this stuff, but you know, go with what makes sense. Now, as far as this one, it's same thing here. The one thing I will note is this is a major spike. You know, it could easily happen, you know, go up that quick. If it does, great. But you know, on the off chance, I say on the lower side, and upper side on the plus side. So if we take a look here, we can get a few marks where it kind of stabilized at 50,000. And if you take a look at about 48ish, there's some stuff here about 47 and then 48 right here, so we can see some marks. I'm thinking it's going to be more if it goes up to this level. I think it's more in the 50,000 to higher range. I think 50,000 is going to be a big resistance line into itself. Again, it's a round number. It's in the fives, 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's an actual psychological resistant line. But I think if we can get past that, and especially get into the 55 or above, then I think it's just going to launch. Now, one thing I would be worried about is if it goes too far. So say, for example, it bounces from, say, 45 to 70,000 or 80,000. Well, there's a pretty good chance it will fall. Now, will it fall to, again, to 45,000? Probably not. So it'll probably fall to somewhere like 55 or 50,000 at the end. So, you can have a major sell-off at its high point and, buy back in a slow point if you trust it's going to do that, or you can just hold it and just watch it. But that is something to note. And that's just a psychological thing that happens. Again, if there's momentum, a push, then maybe it won't fall if it does jump that high. What to look for when it comes to areas like the test zone, where it will blow up, and some of these other areas. The biggest thing is when it comes to this test area is news, specifically news from major places, CNBC, Bloomberg, and a few others, talking about how good crypto is, or X business is buying out crypto, or banks are buying out crypto, or a country is adopting more, or how it's wonderful in some aspect, basically encouraging buy type of situation. Now, you might not see a large amount of that because, again, there's still an upward trend onto the overall crypto market when things are not being manipulated. So you might not have a huge amount of that. And where I expect that to actually take off on the news side of things, to cause that, is going to be more on this area into itself, and also this area into itself, basically where you have these massive jumps. So you can actually have some news that comes here, but when it comes to areas where you have a little bit massive jumps, you're going to definitely have news about something. Now, it doesn't have to be big news, unless it's something like here where it's going to be like an astronomical jump, but it doesn't have to be big news or whatever. It just has to be positive news that actually motivates people to buy in, because again, the entire point of this is to manipulate retail investors like you and I, out of as much money as possible by manipulating their emotions to do whatever that the elite wants to do. Sounds conspiratorial, but the market is a manipulation market, like it or not. It isn't regulated like the regular stock market. And even with the regular stock market regulated, it is 100% heavily manipulated. Look at interviews with some of the hosts on CNBC and some of the other ones. They even mention this in private interviews on how the backroom deals happen. It's pretty disgusting. So yeah, it's nothing new, and it's just kind of how the game is played, like it or not. It's kind of like the job market. It's all heavily manipulated in some form of fashion. That's kind of why you kind of need to have a high school diploma to do a very entry-level job that you really shouldn't need a high school diploma for. It's manipulation. So with that one in mind, getting into here, basically, in my opinion, look at positive growth, look at growth to skyrocket and whatnot, and maybe we'll see some great things. As far as the dates, it's just generalized. It can easily be shortened a bit. I've noticed that this second half of the spring is happening much quicker. I thought at first it was actually going to be at least a week out. It's a week shortened, and depending on phase D, that could be a long phase, or it could be a extremely short phase. So that's something that you might want to just keep an eye out for to see how quickly things are going. I think this spring is going to be quite short. I think it's going to pop up, and then the true of things is going to happen on phase D. And then when it pops up and does its thing, that's going to be like a week of almost flatlining type of a situation. And then all of a sudden, oh, let's blow up and take off. So as far as that goes, if you got any opinions about this, questions, or whatever, then leave that down in the comment section. And I'll see you next video. Have a great day.